Why am I even in this party? That's the provocative question Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski says more rational Republicans are increasingly asking themselves. All that and more now on Grievances. There is no doubt that former President Donald Trump remade the Republican Party in his own image. For decades, the GOP stood for small government, fiscal conservatism, rule of law, family values, a strong national defense, and the utmost reverence for law enforcement. Yet, in less than 4 years, Trump co-opted and radicalized the Republican Party, making it truly unrecognizable from its former self. Under Trump, the GOP reduced to a toxic stew of white grievances and authoritarian populism. This ideology known as Trumpism. No longer is any philosophical foundation to the Republican Party. Whatever Trump says becomes gospel. $1 trillion federal budget deficits? No problem. A historic number of executive orders designed to increase the power of the presidency? Why not, if for Trump? Cozying up to brutal totalitarian dictators? Yes, please. Viciously attacking federal law enforcement? Well, if Trump is calling for it, it must be right. Nearly everything the Republican Party once stood for is no longer true. And it appears that at least some once reliably Republican voters have had enough. Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska telling The Hill, quote, "I'm having more rational Republicans coming up to me and saying, I just don't know how long I can stay in this party." The reason, according to Murkowski, is, quote, "The GOP is becoming known as a group of extremists, populist, over-the-top people where no one is taking us seriously anymore." And while it is true that Senator Murkowski has never been a fan of Trump, voting with Democrats to convict Trump in his second impeachment trial, she could be on to something. Take the 2022 midterms. Republicans and political strategists predicted there would be a red tsunami, with the GOP winning back control of the House with as many as 20 seats. Yet come Election Day, the big red wave failed to materialize. Democrats and President Joe Biden defied expectations and had the best midterm performance of any president in 20 years. Democrats expanding their control of the Senate by 1 vote and just narrowly losing control of the House. Voters overwhelmingly rejecting Trump-aligned candidates that they viewed as too extreme and a threat to democracy. Yet despite this historically strong rebuke in the midterms, Republicans on Capitol Hill have not done anything to recalibrate their agenda or messaging. Instead, they have doubled down on Trumpism, continuing to vociferously defend the former president as his criminal indictments have multiplied, and pushing unhinged conspiracy theories against law enforcement and President Joe Biden's family. Also failing to get the crystal clear message from midterm voters, Republicans running against Trump for the 2024 GOP presidential nomination. Instead of rightly blaming Trump for the Republican Party's awful midterm performance and attacking Trump for his ever-growing legal morass, these so-called opponents refuse to say anything bad about Trump. And maybe that is because they fear there is no Republican Party without him. And really, who am I to say that if the GOP divorces itself from Trump and returns to its once core principles of individual freedom, limited government, rule of law, and fiscal responsibility, they would start winning elections again? Really, who knows? But what is obvious is that continuing to embrace Trump and Trumpism is not only a losing proposition, but an extremely dangerous flirtation with autocracy that threatens America's prosperity and freedom. Thanks for watching Grievances. Let me know what you think, and please subscribe.